Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video where we break down maps and escape from Tarkov. Our next map up on the board is Streets. Streets of Tarkov is the newest map to be added into Escape from Tarkov. The sheer size of this map alone is jaw-dropping. A full raid will consist of 15 to 17 PMC players and will last 50 minutes long. This map consists of 48 different points of interest with 51 spots of loose loot in and around each POI. This map does include one marked room and has a few unfriendly but familiar faces. Two bosses spawn on this map, and those include Killa and Gluhar. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this walkthrough guide for Streets of Tarkov. Alrighty guys, like always, we're using Map Genie because this is the best website for understanding all maps, all of the Escape from Tarkov maps, and they do a ton of different other games and do breakdowns of all those different maps and stuff like that. This is the best website to learn every single map for Escape from Tarkov. You can go through all of the different things like caches, dead bodies, grenades, keys, boss locations, spawn points, scav snipers, all of it. Anything and everything that you need for this breakdown and to understand every single map, you can get with Map Genie. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first couple things that we want to talk about are spawn points, rotations, and extractions. So let's go ahead and start in the bottom left corner and see what we got going. Down here in the bottom left, you have this entire, this is the pink section. So from the collapsed crane, like the construction area, all the way over to Lexos, down to Tipicot, and back over here to Concordia. These are different like apartment buildings and obviously the basketball court and the like little playground and stuff like that. We have a couple different spawn points. There's one actually right outside, and I believe you can spawn inside the building of Concordia, but right here, you got a spawn point in the little alleyway separating these two apartment buildings. And then you have one across the courtyard right next to the basketball court and in between that and construction. As we make our way up towards the collapsed crane extract, there is a PMC spawn. Now, I think it can be in and around the actual construction building. So if you just kind of spawn like right outside or inside, you know, it doesn't really matter. But be very careful, very cautious, because these people down here may go straight into these buildings and go up a couple floors to check and see if like this group of players may go into this building and wait for this group of players to maybe run down the street like you're heading towards Lexos or Sparja. They might be looking for a shooter-born, so be cautious, be careful. Let's make our way up to the northwest section of the map. These are just different buildings that you can kind of go into, actually really high-value buildings. This whole Chekanya 15, Post Office Pharmacy, the Census Building, Coffee Joy, all of these have really good loot in them, and you got to be very careful because this is a very high PvP area. The entire map's a very high PvP area, but be very cautious, very careful. As you're making your way up along the road heading towards Scav checkpoint, there is a PMC spawn point. There's also one in Brodian Pub, and there's one right here in between Scav checkpoint and the basement descent that is a Scav extract. A couple other PMC spawn points are actually in these buildings right here. This entire like strip is technically connected from like every single floor. So be very careful. These people can spawn in here and they might be going straight for those high value rooms. So that's the top left side of the map. So let's go ahead and cross the street and check out the top right, which is Pinewood Hotel. Pinewood Hotel, there aren't really that many spawn points over here. There is one inside of this Pinewood Hotel, which is the central building. There's one on the base floor of this top one that's right next to Klimov Street. And then across this like grassy kind of treed out courtyard-ish area, there is a little alleyway with nothing in there, but there is a PMC spawn point. So be very careful if you spawn here, because these people might be looking across the courtyard and try to catch you right away, as well as the people down here at Nikita Street. If you come out, or Nikita Cafe, if you come out of this building, and you should expect there to be a team all the way down at the end of this street in this alleyway, and vice versa. These two players, these two teams might run into each other right out of the gate. So be very careful and very cautious of your right. As we're making our way down the map, There isn't any spawn points actually in this industrial district from Theater all the way over to Jazz Drive to Peterson Center, but there are some along this road from Sewer to Damaged House. So be very careful. Someone's going to spawn at Damaged House, and someone's going to spawn at Alcove Point. That person in Alcove Point can be spawned right in between another person that spawns at Entrance to Catacombs. So right in here, you should be very careful, very cautious. Your best bet is to either hang tight and wait for this person to move, or immediately jet straight in so that you can get into this industrial district, so that you're kind of like out of sight, because people are going to be looking for Shooterborn. This is a Shooterborn map. So this person is probably going to be looking that direction, or they're immediately going to start running down here because there is a spawn point at the cinema. As well as at the cinema, there's one right down here just above the Courtyard Extract. And then there's one over here at the Primovsky Ave Taxi. This person is either going to go straight to Lexos direction, or try to get into these like kind of grassy, there's a couple trees here to kind of cover your, your escape, but this is a Shooterborn distance right here. So this person, if you spawn down here, immediately look to your left towards the taxi, you're probably going to see somebody, and they might just not be paying attention. You might be able to get a free headshot, and vice versa. Somebody might pop out, make their way towards the cinema. You might be able to catch them as they're crossing the street. So be very careful. Those are pretty much all of them. And then we also have this one at the Steak and Grill. Again, just be very careful. You got people on your left and right pretty much everywhere you spawn. And your best bet is not just gunning it, because there are scavs, there are bosses, there are sniper scavs, there are PMCs literally everywhere. It is a very difficult map to maneuver, and your best bet is to kind of move strategically and tactically and get yourself into these like heavily, I guess, like wooded areas, or, grassy areas, or the buildings, and, try to fight people, on different floors and stuff, because like you're going to get caught out in these streets sometimes, and you may not survive those, because you're going to attract attention as soon as you start fighting with other players, and people are going to find these higher level floors, and they're going to be looking for a Shooterborn shot. So you do not want to spend your time out here on these streets. You need to get somewhere safe. So those are the PMC spawn points, and kind of a brief just introduction to like rotations. Right now, it's kind of difficult with rotations because everybody has to do all of the quests, and everyone's trying to figure out where the quests are. So everyone's kind of going in different directions, but that's kind of just being aware of who is around you can help tremendously in letting you know like what is your plan of attack, what direction you should probably go. Because if you start hearing people fighting off in this direction and you just really need to go in the opposite direction, you just need to bolt. You just need to bolt, find some safety, find some cover, and go get whatever you need to get done so that you can continue progressing through the levels, finding more money, finding better gear, finding all that stuff. So that's what you got to keep an eye out for. Now, let's go over the extractions. So we kind of went over a couple of them, and there are 13 in total. So these green ones are the PMC extracts. So we've got the excavation zone, which is just south of Concordia, right as you spawn. If you're right at the basketball court, right at the end of this, road right here, like you're kind of heading towards Lexus, that is an extraction. The collapsed crane is the one just north of construction, actually in the construction yard. Down here to the very bottom is the Primovsky Ave Taxi. Now, this is something that you have to pay for, just like the car on Woods, just like the car on Customs. You have to pay for this taxi. I don't actually know off the top of my head, but I assume it actually has something to do with your fence rep. So just kind of keep an eye on that. I would always try to bring at least 6 to like 15K. It probably won't be anywhere near that, but just in case your teammate doesn't bring any money, you've got some extra money and you guys can get out. Over here towards the bottom right is Courtyard. This is obviously a PMC extract. And then just northeast of the cinema, we have the Damaged House. And most of these are PMC spawn points. So you just got to be kind of careful. People might still be kind of over in that area depending on when you're actually trying to get out of this map. But as we make our way north, we've got Sewer River. This is something you actually have to go down into the sewer, and you'll find that extract. Top left is Scav Checkpoint, just left of the basement descent. And then Underpass and Kilmop Street. You got to be very careful over here. I don't think you'll get shot over here at Underpass, but you will definitely get shot at Kilmov Street. Kilmov Street is an extract where you need to have a green flare to pop off into the sky for the sniper scab to not kill you. There's a little area right over here, just north of this PMC spawn. And there's actually a sign that it's like, okay, there's a sniper scab and stuff like that. If you come over to this area or right in here and you pop off that flare and you let it fly into the air and you see it's glowing, you're good to go. These are actually like bushes in between these two streets, or I guess this one street, just both sides of the street. You will be shot if you do not pop off that flare. As you pass that those bushes right there, you're going to die. But if you have your flare, your green flare, and you come prepared, you can extract here at Kilmov Street. So there's two very interesting extracts. There's the taxi, and then there's Kilmov Street where you need a flare. But the rest of these you can just kind of walk up to, and you're good to go. Now, let's go over the scav extraction. Right now, there are only 4 extractions for scavs, and they're actually really easy to find. There's one right over here in Sewer, which is just like northeast of the Goshen and Concordia, obviously in between Concordia and Construction. Over here on the right, actually right in front of Cinema, there is a ventilation shaft. It's just kind of like a big little like cement block that's just out of the ground, and you just kind of have to go up to it and lay down, and you can extract there. Just north of that and in between Sewer River and Damaged House is the entrance to Catacombs. There is this is actually, there's a room that you got to go down some stairs and like kind of back around. It almost looks like you're going to D2 on Reserve, but this is the entrance to Catacombs. And our last extract is in the top left of the map. This is Basement Descent. It's literally right here in this little corner. You'll see just a big metal door. And you could actually walk pretty much right on top of it, but right down here in the corner is where you can just stand and you'll be out in like 5 or 6 seconds. So those are the extracts for Streets of Tarkov. Next thing I want to talk about are sniper scavs, regular scav spawns, and the bosses. So like always, let's go ahead and start in the bottom left and we'll make our way around. So down here in the bottom left, there aren't too many scav spawns. There are always going to be scavs in the construction area. I don't really see very many scavs actually over here just before you pass Concordia, like you're heading towards Sparja. Maybe they're just already dead by the time I get around there, but there can be maybe 1 or 2 scavs that spawn right over here near the basketball court. And then as you make your way towards the bear camp, right behind, or actually in between Lexos, there are a couple different scav spawns. They can spawn all throughout here and even behind and rotate in towards Sparja. But this is also a spawn for Gluhar. So be very careful, very cautious. This is actually a camp. So there's a bunch of just like connexes and like places to loot and stuff like that. But there are going to be scavs, the scab boss and his guards. They're all there. It's not just Gluhar. He will be there and he can make his way into Lexos. He can make his way into this like little garage area. He can make his way around to the front. Should be very careful, very cautious. And then on top of that, you have a sniper scav that can also pop you. Now, I don't think the sniper scav is going to shoot you from this backside direction. The sniper scav is usually more focused on across the street, like you're heading, like you're over here in the industrial district, or like you're right up here at the intersection from industrial to this top left area to Pinewood Hotel direction. So that's kind of where the sniper scav is going to be. And I think there is a gun up there, like a mounted turret. So be very careful because he might start laying into you. You definitely want to check this building before you try to cross the street. Just north of that, we do have a couple scav spawns. There is one right in the dead center of this entire like check area, the pharmacy, post office. And there aren't a whole lot of scavs that roam through here. They're usually right around the census building. And there's like a playground right here. And they just kind of roam. They just kind of roam right through here. They can make their way into the building, but they usually don't go that far. They usually will just stop right at like a staircase, and that's it. They won't really go anywhere else unless they're following somebody. That's completely different. Just north of that, like we were saying earlier, these are sniper scavs that will kill you as soon as you step foot around Kilmov Street. Now, you can walk up to this side of the street, but as soon as you touch these bushes, you are going to get shot. So be very careful. Back down here, right at the intersection from like Lexos to like Pinewood and Theater and the pharmacy, there are a ton of scavs. There are usually like 4 to 5 scavs kind of roaming up and down this this street and into Lexos direction. So be very careful. Not very many PMCs are kind of running through there. They're usually taking the buildings and making their way across like first floors and going in and out. Nobody's really roaming around in these streets, but be careful because you might get shot through the windows from these scavs that are just out in the open. Towards the top right section of the map, we have a ton of scavs. Obviously, there's the sniper scavs from Kill Mob Street. There are a bunch of scavs in and out of the Pinewood Hotel. Again, they just kind of spawn and run in between each of these buildings and in these courtyards, but they usually don't make their way up into the buildings themselves. They will pretty much stop at the doorway, or they will stop like right at the staircase. So just be very careful. And right in here in the Pinewood Hotel area, Killa can spawn. He will kind of do the exact same thing as normal scavs. He will just kind of hang tight and just kind of like move around and try to find some people. So this is a very dangerous area, and your best bet is to proceed with caution because he can be anywhere. Everybody knows Killa. It's the exact same on Interchange. He just kind of hides and waits for somebody to poke their head out, and he just starts laying into them. So if you hear a bunch of firing going off like real early in a raid, Killa's probably right over here at Pinewood. As we're making our way south in towards the industrial, we do have a sniper scav on top of the theater. There are scavs that spawn in and around all of these different buildings right through here. And then we have a couple scav spawns in or around the statue, you know, the cinema. There's a sniper scav on top, and then there's just scavs that just kind of maneuver all throughout here. They usually take a little bit to spawn in, so you won't really see them right away. You might see the sniper scavs, but you won't see the regular scavs until, you know, like probably like 5 minutes after the raid has started. And then there is a sniper scav guarding the taxi, but you are safe. There's pretty much there's a safe little like section that you can just walk in, pay the thing, and you're pretty much covered from every direction. So just don't start jumping around trying to get on top of things. Just go in there, pay the man, get out of that raid. So one thing I did want to point out was we did mention that there was like 51 spots of loose loot. This number has since gone up because people have just been learning the map. So we will probably do another walkthrough whenever the second iteration of Streets come out, because this map is just going to grow. It's going to grow all around it because there are multiple iterations that they have yet to release. But I just want you guys to definitely spend some time on Map Genie because this is going to continue to be updated, and it can show you caches, dead scavs, jackets, you know, PC blocks, safes, valuable spawns, meds, other loot, provisions, weapon boxes, duffel bags. There are 43 duffel bags, bunch of ammo boxes. I mean, there is a ton of stuff on this map. This map is massive. It has so much loot. It has a lot of really good loot, but it's a very difficult map. I would definitely rate this map probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. It still needs a lot of work. And right now, because it is the first release of Streets, it's been a little buggy. It's been super rubber bandy. You know, anybody who's played it can tell you that it is just, the map just messes up sometimes. And it's almost like you can't do anything to fix it. That will obviously change in the future. But as of right now, just be very careful when you're playing this map. It has a lot of really good loot, a lot of action, a lot of fun times. I've definitely scabbed here a lot. I've PMC'd a little bit. And it's fun. The map is really entertaining. It's really enjoyable. It's very different than what we're used to. And one thing that's actually really exciting is it's really bright. The map is obviously, depending on weather, for the most part, it's really bright. There aren't a whole lot of dark corners and crannies, kind of like Interchange and Shoreline. Like, there are areas that are fully lit up, you know, that you can see people when you're fighting. And even on a night raid, you can see fairly well. This map is really well done. They just need to tweak a couple little things. That is our breakdown of the Streets of Tarkov, the first iteration for patch 0.13.0. So if you guys enjoyed yourselves, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you guys really want to ask any further questions, you can comment on this video below, or you can join the Discord and DM me. You can just message me in the Tarkov channel. You can talk to other people. You can play with other people. It's a very friendly community. You just come on in. Hope you guys have some fun, and be sure to check out our live streams. We stream Monday through Thursday from about 6 to 10 o'clock at night, and then occasionally on Sunday afternoon to evening. So be sure to stop by and let me know what you think. You guys have a great morning, evening, afternoon, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.